Today, we are going to talk about how to get your teen to take the reins at least part of the time when it comes to this college admissions thing. And per usual, I always feel that this is really important. I would love in the comments if you would let me know if you are a brand newbie. Okay, we have something like 8,000 new folks that have come through and been introduced to us in the last 2 weeks, which is phenomenal. We're super, super excited to be spreading the word. But I'd love to know if you're a newbie. And if you're a newbie, write newbie. What does that mean? It means that this is the first time that you have watched one of my videos, and I want you to put newbie. If you are a groupie, which means you are an admissions formula member, which is my 10-week program for parents, or you're a brand new admissions formula member because you just decided to enroll, I want you to put new TAF or TAF. TAF stands for the admissions formula. So I love to see who those people are, and I always love my groupies, and you can go ahead and put that in there so I can see. So hi Lisa, and hi Cecilia, and I love all these names. Okay, clearing my voice here. Let me take a little sip of my coffee so you can see my mug for today. And this is my mug. It says, "It's official, you're awesome." And I needed it, friends, because social media can be a really scary place right now, and people just say some very interesting things. So I needed this morning because sometimes I wake up to some really fascinating comments about college admission. So I needed this today, and you might need it too. So cheers. Okay, so some announcements super fast, and then we're going to get into the content. The first thing is that if you have not binged my videos, what are you doing, friends? Okay. You can go to the top of the college conversation and you will see all of the videos pinned there under events. You can also, and I'm actually going to bring real quick my mic closer because it appears that someone is cutting tile outside. Okay. So you will see all my videos at the top of the college conversation. And if you're a member of the College List Formula, which is our free pop-up Facebook group, you will also see the videos at the very top there. But what you doing if you're not watching? You gotta check these out. We've been really active, especially the last month, and you can binge away. There are hours of content there to just make you feel so much better about the process. The second big announcement is that tomorrow, Saturday, is the last opportunity for you to catch my masterclass live, my masterclass on college list building. And it's called Setting the Stage to Build the Perfect College List. If you've attended, drop something right now in the comments to let people know. I will say that this one that we did this last Tuesday, I think it was one of the best sessions that I've ever had. It was fantastic energy in the comments, and we absolutely loved seeing so many new faces in our groupies as well. So Saturday's the last opportunity. We're gonna make sure the link is in here for you. It is filling up, so make sure that you grab your seat and that way you can join us. And then the next announcement before I get started is that on this coming Tuesday night, we have a super special session for your teens. And so this is something I don't do very often, but it's probably one of my favorite things. We are going to do a Teen Ask Me Anything session, and it will be over at the College Conversation, which is the page you should be following. And we're going to drop a post in the College List Formula group that is asking for questions from your teens. And I'm serious about that because I can tell if an adult wrote it, and we want to know what's on the mind of your teens, and then I'm going to be answering those questions on Tuesday. So they can absolutely join you over at the College Conversation. You should be sitting next to them, and I'm going to ask a bunch of questions. So that's our special Teens Ask Me Anything session. It's going to be at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. Okay, so those are the announcements, and now we'll go ahead and get started. So how many of you are here because you have a teen that just is not wanting to get into this right now? They are dragging their heels, or you're telling them to do something and they're not doing it, and you are doing all of the heavy lifting. If that is you, go like this, do a little heart, and I will tell you that you are not alone. It is super common, and I will tell you, it is probably the number one thing that you as parents tell me when you're joining the College List Formula group. Even when I'm walking admissions formula parents through the process, it is incredibly frustrating for you that you're doing it all, and why are they not invested, and what is going on here? And it's a lot of work. So you're not alone, and I want you to know that right away. And someone just said, who said this? Carrie just said she has no time. Understandably, neither do you usually, but we're going to go ahead and talk about that. So what we're going to talk about today is what is really going on with your teenager and why is it that they won't take the reins. And I'll tell you that this is part of what I teach in my college admissions course in order to really help to establish some mindset issues to help with the shift, because it's really, really important. And we're obviously going to talk about some strategies in order to overcome this, or at least to start helping your teen to have more agency. And that's a word we're going to talk about. So, like I said, the number one thing you tell me is that they're not motivated, they're not interested, they don't want to start, it stresses them out, it causes anxiety, all of those different things. Some of you, they're fighting you every step of the way, okay? And here's what I want to tell you. This applies to high achievers and at students that just aren't doing much, right? It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with grades. It has nothing to do with like whether or not they're getting a bunch of awards. It doesn't matter. It happens all across the board. And again, I want you to know that it's normal. So let's start with this. Why? Why is it that most teens do not want to take the reins and have like no sense of agency in the process? And I have to say that that's one of my favorite words, agency, right? Why is it that they often don't want to be the agent that's going to control their own lives, right? Agency. And I think this is huge. So let's start here. The first thing is this, and I've talked about this in other videos, and if you didn't watch The Long Road to Admission, I would go back and I would definitely watch that. But listen, super basic understanding of the teenage brain is this. Their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed yet. Not until the age of 25, often long after they are out of your home, okay? What does that mean? That means that they often have executive functioning, planning skills that aren't quite up to par of what you're hoping or expecting them to be. They're not that forward thinking, okay? So they're basically thinking about once they're eating breakfast, what's for lunch? Okay, so how many of you have teens that are in that survival mode? And I'll tell you that that's something that's consistently baffled me with my own teenager. And I sit there and wonder, wow, it's like in a past life, she, was like the youngest of 14 children and always worried about whether or not she was going to eat, because I swear her spoon isn't even down from her cereal and she's thinking about what's next. Okay. And that happens with a lot of students. That's what they're thinking about. They're in survival mode. So that's one of the reasons why it's very difficult for teens to have agency, because of just that lack of a mature brain. Then on top of that, you've got all of these messages about college admission. So I'm going to ask you a question right now, and I want you to pop this in the comments. If you were to say to your teen the two words college admission or something about it, I want you to tell me, what would they be thinking? Would they be thinking, yeah, this is amazing? If you were to say, we're going to talk about college admission, what are they thinking? What are they feeling? What kind of reaction would they have? Right? You tell me right now in the comments, and I'm going to go through some of them right now. When we think about college admission, and if you're a teenager, this is the way you're thinking about it. It's hard, right? How many of you have teens that say it's easy? Okay, it's hard, it's time consuming. That's what Carrie had said, right? Carrie said, well, they don't have the time, right? So they immediately think it's so time consuming, it's highly competitive. They think, you know what, if I don't do this, whatever this thing is, I won't get that, okay? Because they believe that it's, all about doing more, okay? And that they're never feeling like they're doing enough. The messages they're getting often from counseling, from peers, and messages they're also getting from friends' parents is like, it's too early to work on this stuff, you can wait. Okay, a lot of times they're getting that. In a lot of high school counseling offices, they don't even start meeting with students about college until second semester junior year. So if you've got a student that's younger, they're thinking like, why are we even talking about this right now, Mom? It's too early, right? How many of you have that? And they're getting all of these mixed messages about how much it's awful, right? What a terrible experience it is, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. All of the above is steeped in scarcity thinking, that it's just going to be so darn hard, and there's not enough spots for me. And what it does is it produces all of these internal worries, right? this fear of failure, this worry that they're going to let someone down. That someone might be you. It might be themselves, right? And it often causes a lot of self-doubt. Okay, so thinking about all of that already, of course your teens aren't going to want to take the reins because it really sounds like a horrible, awful thing, right? All of those things are terrible. And now we got to stack one more thing on it. Your own stuff. You have your own anxieties about it. You have your own fears about it. You have your own worries about it. You have your own experience with college admission. All of that is connected, you guys. So doesn't it make sense that when we're really wanting our teens to do something in this process, they're dragging their heels? Because it really sounds like a terrible, awful thing, right? And I gotta hit you between the eyes with that right away before I get into the strategies, because you need to understand where they're coming from, okay? And, you know, Kelly just said they're so busy with AP classes and clubs and there's no time and they're stressed and anxious. Right. So why would they want to add on another stressful thing? They won't. They don't. Okay? So here is the truth. This is the truth for you. In order for your teens to want to take the reins at least part of the time, they have to have a sense of agency. Agency comes from one of two places. Maturity, literally the growth of their brain, their prefrontal cortex, or it comes from their environment. You can't control the speed of brain development, but you definitely can control pieces of the environment. And that's what we're going to talk about right now in terms of strategies, okay? So this is the key, and we're going to walk through this a little bit. The more that we allow our teens to have control of something that's lower risk, the more that we don't nag, don't force, don't control things, the more we do that, the more we give them the opportunity to try things and make mistakes, the more we give them the opportunity to make their own decisions and maybe fail, the more we help them to stretch and practice that agency muscle in other things of their life, the more they're going to want to take the reins on this. And that is a huge, huge, huge point that if you need to rewind later and hear that again, you need to do that, okay? Because here is the truth about this. And this is what we deal with in the admissions formula when I'm working with families in the beginning and we're talking about this process. People get very frustrated that their teenagers don't want to do anything when it comes to college admission, or when something gets really hard, they sort of give up. And usually after a bit of digging, what we find out is that's sort of how it is with other elements of parenting. Now, I'm not like forcing the blame game and saying, you know, I'm not playing that game, but I think it's important for us to come clean about that. And what's really important, the very first piece to lay the foundation of helping your teen to take the reins, it's you need to give them more agency in other areas of their life that are low risk. And we talked about this in the last session. And it's things like the laundry and the basic sorts of adulting things, making sure they set their own alarm clock in the morning, even if they end up being late for school, helping them to understand that they can plan something on their own. And if it doesn't work out well, it's okay. You have to start to give them that in order for them to then want to do some of the harder, higher stakes things where they're going to need that agency. So that's first and foremost. So if I were you right now, I would be thinking of the things that you do all the time for your teen where you want it to be a certain way, okay? And you start to back off those things, okay? And that might sound really elementary, but I cannot tell you how many times I get a student, this is a good example, okay? When I'm working one-on-one with clients, the very initial meeting is with the student and the parent. Okay, so they're both sitting together next to each other. And I'll ask the student a question. More than half the time, it is the student's question to answer, and it's something as simple as, hey, so can we meet next Tuesday at 4 o'clock? Would that work for you? They immediately look to the parent. And my response is, why are you looking at mom right now? Okay, because they don't often control their own calendar, okay? That's something little simple where you could give them that element of control of something. You want them to be able to respond to these questions and to think of these things on their own. So if you can relate to any of that and you're the one that controls the whole calendar, that's something that you might want to back up on. Okay, so those are different pieces just to start that I want to make sure that people understand. Okay, so now let's turn to the college admissions piece and let's talk about how do you get your teen to take the reins in certain aspects, at least, of the process to help them feel like they can do it, to help them feel like they've got this. Okay. I'm different than a lot of other college admissions folks in many ways, but I want to make sure I'm clear on this. I firmly do not believe that the process is only for the teen to handle. And I will tell you that the reason for my You're Awesome mug this morning is one of the main comments that I get when I'm like promoting my masterclass is people are floored and they're almost angry that the teens are not involved in the masterclass. That they're like, why is it that you're doing a college list building masterclass and it's only for parents? Okay. And they think it's ridiculous. They're like, you are, promoting helicopter parenting and all of that. No, I philosophically believe that this is a partnership. Okay. That there are pieces of the process that you absolutely need to own. And the college list is one of them. And if you don't believe me, make sure you go to the masterclass on Saturday because it is a huge beast and it's something that you need to do together. And if you like that, make sure I know. But here's the thing. There are pieces of the process that are the teens to own, like writing their college essays, working on their applications, okay? Do I believe the final decision of where a teen goes is all on them? I don't. I still believe that that's a partnership unless your teen is paying for the whole thing. I do believe that we need to work together on this, okay? But what I'll tell you is it's too much all at once. It's very overwhelming. And so the reason they're not doing things is because they don't know where to start. How many of you, when you joined our College List Formula Facebook group, told me that you don't know where to start? You're not sure what you're supposed to do. Now imagine what a teenager is feeling with their teenage brain. They don't know what the heck to do. They have no idea. So they are waiting for some direction. And even more so if you have a child where you've been doing everything for them for forever, okay? Then of course they're not going to come to you saying what's next, right? So they get very, very overwhelmed. And so what do you do in order to help to encourage your teen to start to take the initiative, okay? Or at least like once you're telling them what to do, to have them then take the reins. So let's give you some examples of this so that way you can like take action right away. So here are some low stakes things that your teen can do to feel pretty good right away about getting something done. So the way that teenagers work, and it often is just like how they've been trained throughout schooling and everything else, is they do tend to think in terms of like checklists, okay? Or I have to do this and I'm going to check it off and get it done and move to the next thing. And so because they think that way, and I'm not saying you should think that way the whole time with college admission, but because they do, they know all the things that they need to do. It's all like, well, I shouldn't say that. Some of them know what they need to do, but it gets too overwhelming. So what do you do to help? Okay, so here's an example to start off with this, okay? The first thing that you need to do is you have to get your hands on the entire process. So you moms and dads have to understand what is coming down the chute. So like, what does the whole entire road to college admission look like? You need to really understand that, okay? I obviously teach that in the admissions formula, my 10-week program, and you get all the information in one place. But you have to know like, what are all the things that need to be done? You start with that, all right? Then you pick one thing on that list. So we're going to start with one that I believe is somewhat easy, and that is starting to think about campus visits. Okay, so let me know right now in the comments, what grade level do you think campus visits should start? Okay, should it be in middle school, 9th grade, 10th grade, or 11th grade? Hopefully you're not saying 12th grade, and if you're saying that right now, don't wait till then, okay? But put right now in the comments, what grade level do you think that students should start when it comes to college visits, okay? So I will tell you right now that you need to do them early and often, and we will talk about this in my masterclass as well, whether they're virtual or online. But let me give you a little tiny action step that you can work on right away to help your teen take the reins. The first thing that you do when you're thinking of college visits is you, mom or dad, you're going to write down all the things that you need to do in order to get the college visit to happen. You're going to just like brain dump a list, okay? Obviously, this is part of the admissions formula. I'm going to give you what you need to do. I call it the hidden campus visit. But you're going to write down all those things. What do you need to do? Well, you got to figure out where you're going first, okay? You got to figure out like the timing of it, okay? What's the best time for you? What's the best time for them? Then you got to think of, all right, well, what are we going to do when we're there? Are we going to do a tour? Are we going to do a tour and an information session? And then what else do we need to see? And how do you get from point A to B? And then you got to book the tour. You got to write all of those little things down. If you know this, fantastic, but stick with me because I'm going to help you to understand how do you get your team to take the reins? How do you get your team to do some things in this process? Because it's a big thing to plan a campus visit. First, you do all of that. Then you're going to calmly sit down with your teenager and you're going to identify the one really easy thing that they can do in 15 minutes or less. Why 15 minutes? Because that is about the attention span. That's on the high end. That's the attention span of a teenager when they're working on something they don't want to do. It's the same thing we do around the house. If this house is a mess, I'm like, we're setting the timer for 15 minutes, go, pick something to clean. 15 minutes is what they can handle. You pick that 15 minutes and you look at the list of something that you know that they can do in 15 minutes. You walk over to them and say, hey, you know, I really love to book a campus visit. I want to start talking about it. And they go, I don't want to do that. It's too early. I know. But in the next few days, we're going to book this and we're going to set aside 15 minutes of time to do it. Okay. So you're giving them an opportunity to pick. You're giving them some agency. You pick the time, and saying, no, I don't want to do it and I'm never going to do it isn't an option. You're going to set that deadline. Hey, by Sunday, we're going to carve out 15 minutes for us to do this. You might wait until the very last minute to get it done, but you are going to adhere to that deadline, okay? Here is one of the easiest things that you can do with your team. You can sit side by side and you can book online the campus visit section. You can go to the campus visit section of a website and you can very easily book the tour, always do the tour if you can, and the information session. You're going to book at minimum those two things. You're going to sit next to them and you're going to do it with them. Why? Let me tell you what they will learn in 15 minutes of just doing that. They're going to learn, first of all, that they can handle booking something on their own and that it's not as high stakes as they think. They're going to learn the questions that are usually asked when anyone is booking a college tour. Things like they might ask, what's your major area of interest? And your teen might be like, wait, do I need that? And that might provoke other conversations with your teen. They might ask things like, what's the name of your high school? What area do you live in? They ask all these different questions. Why do the colleges do that? Because they're trying to figure out who you are, okay? And they want to start gathering information about you based on your interest, right? But that's going to provoke a conversation. It'll take about 15 minutes, and then you're done, okay? That's it. That's all it is they need to do. You can go back and you can kind of continue to plan. And then you get to the next stage of the process that you would really love for them to take the reins on. Maybe it's that you want your team to book an observation of a class at that college. How many of you knew that you could do that? Okay, we teach this in the admissions formula. So before the pandemic, that was an option at a lot of schools, and they've sort of cut that out. A lot of schools don't offer that anymore, but you can still do it. And so then you would do the same thing. All right, now I want to go, and you walk them through how to go about doing that, right? And you might sit next to them the first time they do it, and the second time, then it's like, hey, we got to book a college tour to, college X. Can you hop on there by Friday and go ahead and book that? And that's what you're doing, is you're teaching them, and then you're going to give them the agency and the win and that feeling of getting it done so they can do it on their own next time. Okay, so strategy number one is for you to figure out what is the elephant, and then you're going to help by eating it one bite at a time and working with your teen on that. Okay, so that's strategy number one. You have to then decide who is going to do what. Whose role is it anyway? The expectation that your teen is going to do it all, there's no way. It's way too big. It's way too much time that a lot of you have already said in the comments. There's too much to do. So it's okay for you to decide, all right, I'm going to do this and you can do that. Unless it's the college essays and applications, which is only a student thing, right? But then you as a parent, you can help with setting the deadlines. You can put that boundary up there. Hey, I know you want to go to the basketball game on Saturday night, but this needs to get done by Friday. Put the boundaries down. And what I've learned in my almost 30 years of working with your teenagers and working with you is often the parents that struggle the most with this, truth bomb, are the ones that don't often have those boundaries in other areas of the parenting, where you're like putting that, you're literally saying like, by this date, we're going to get it done. Okay. So number one, I already talked about. Number two is to set a deadline and figure out what those consequences are in order to make sure that your teen is gonna get it done. And it is okay. I give you full permission to do that. This isn't mean. It's you're helping them, so that way that action breeds the motivation. And that's the piece that a lot of folks don't understand, that you expect your teen to be motivated and then they're gonna wanna do something. That's not how motivation works. You have to start by doing something, and that's what breeds the motivation. Okay, so if you liked that, do this on the post, because I think that that's really important. The next piece of this is, let's say you do have a teen that's like into it and they're like moving forward on the things that you want them to do, and then all of a sudden they get stuck. Okay, they're like, this feels hard. No matter what, you as a parent need to really acknowledge how challenging this process can be, to have an open conversation with them about the fact that, yeah, you're right. There are pieces of this that are just either hard or not fun or things you need to do, okay? We right now, with my own daughter, who's a high school senior, we're in the process of, she's applying for a bunch of scholarships. Some are local, some are national, some are at some of the colleges where she's already been accepted. It's not fun to do scholarship applications. It kind of stinks, okay? And it takes kind of a lot of time. And I'm actually finding that it's taking more time for the scholarship applications than it ever did for the initial college essay rounds that I helped her with, right? Because the questions are quite different, and she's able to tweak a lot of the essays, but it's not fun to like take a Saturday to go sit and do scholarships. And so what I do instead is I make it as manageable as possible. Hey, we got to work on scholarship applications. What's your schedule this weekend? Let's carve out 2 or 3 hours. And then, hey, if you need help, I'm here to help you. I sometimes will sit down next to her, across from her, and do my own work. Like, I tell her we're in it together. We can get through this together. I don't write it for her, but if she's stuck on something, I'm there for her to bounce ideas off of, and that's fine, right? But helping them to not feel like they're so isolated having to do this on their own tends to often help. Now, if you can't do anything like that ever with your teen, you know, like you guys are just constantly arguing, you can't expect that it's going to be perfect in the college admissions process, but you can come clean and come at it from a different angle to let them know that you really want to help, right? You want to help them. And it's not about your own anxiety or your own control. It's about how can you work together to make this more of a partnership. And I found that even with Kayla, when she gets really stressed out about something and she's thinking, you know, I don't think I can do this on my own, she often will like push me away at first to be like, I got it. And then I'll wait a little bit and wait until she's out of that sort of like that fight or flight mode. And then I'll sit there and go back and say, hey, I noticed you were stressed out, but like, can we talk about what's going on? And then it'll come out, right? Whether it's before bed, me laying next to her, or, you know, doing something that is connecting with your teen is going to help them to move forward. In my college admissions course, we talk about that a lot, right? How important it is to come at it from a place of connection, and that will help as well. Okay. And then let's give you 2 more. So the other piece that I want to share with you is, what do you do when your teen is having decision fatigue, or you're having decision fatigue, right? Where you know that something needs to be decided, okay? And if you're a parent of a senior and you're listening, this often happens at the very end when your kids can't make up their mind, or they're deciding between a couple of different classes, or whether or not they should apply for a certain summer program or whatever it is. How many of you deal with that, right? Like where your kids cannot for the life of them make a decision. They're like in indecision mode. Put that in the comments. So here's something that I have found really helps a student when they're going through this decision fatigue or like indecision. And I want to iron this out as a strategy because I think it also helps to give the students more agency, more willingness to make a decision. So what I have found works is if you do best case and worst case scenario. And I'll tell you, I don't remember exactly who I learned this from, but it helped me, and it still helps me when I cannot make a decision because there's so many choices, or I'm worried I'm going to make the wrong decision or whatever. And even right now going through this is actually a good example. Before we start to promote our setting the stage masterclasses, I'm always thinking of what do I want to do differently, and what worked last time and what didn't work, and I'm trying to plan it all. And this time I very seriously thought, you know what, maybe at the same time as me doing a parent setting the stage class, I can also offer a video for the teens about their own process. And some of you are thinking, yes, oh my gosh, we want that. Yeah, please, we want it. We want our teens to take the reins. And I know that, but it's not what you need. And I was in decision fatigue for a good month, and I had whiteboarded this whole thing out. And what did I have to do after? I had to look at it, and then I had to just sit down with a piece of paper and do this. Okay, what's the best case scenario if I do this? And what's the worst case scenario if I do this? Should we give it a shot? Okay, and what would happen? And then I just had to make the decision, and I decided not to do it because of what I talked to you about at the beginning, which is I believe your teens will be more overwhelmed if they see it all. And that's why I offer the masterclass just to parents, so you can digest it and then follow these strategies I'm telling you to help your teen take the reins at certain parts of the process, okay? So I had a client, an admissions formula member back in 2019. It was actually right before the world changed. And it was actually really interesting. So she asked a question, and when you're in the admissions formula, you're part of this community, this parent community. It's optional, but it's a Facebook community just for that cohort, that group. And when parents ask questions, I'll either answer it right away in the thread, or I'll say, hey, save it for our group coaching session. Or I'll say, hey, I love that question so much, I'm actually going to film a video for everyone to see about it. So Sarah asked a question, and she said, okay, I'm really frustrated right now. And this is a mom who, she's a mindful mama, because I think she runs sound bath things, and she's she's very mindful, I think is intentional. She said, I'm so frustrated right now. My teen is sitting on this application for this summer leadership experience that he was nominated for. And I really believe that he has a good shot at getting it. And I'm so frustrated. It's due in 10 days. He hasn't even looked at it yet. And it's driving me crazy. And I don't know what to do. I keep telling him to do it. And what's the deal? Why is he doing this when this could really help him? Okay. Here's the deal. Run through the strategy of best and worst case scenario for your teen. Instead of busting in and saying, you got to get this done and we're going to set a deadline, you do put the onus on your teen to make the final decision by walking through best and worst case scenario. Hey, Ethan, can we talk about this application that you have going on? When are you available in the next few days? Always do that, you guys. It's really good for communication, for anything. When you're frustrated, it will help you with your partner as well. So start there. Then you walk through it. You've been nominated for this experience, and it's going to be amazing. Can we talk about if you were to do it, what would be the best case scenario? What are all the great things that could happen if you did this? Don't give them ideas. Let them talk through it. If they start to say, I don't know, go through and have the conversation. Okay. And then what's the worst case scenario if you don't do it, right? What could happen if you don't do it, and walk through that. And then you say, okay, well, it's up to you whether or not you're going to do it. This is what I think. I think this is the best case scenario, and this is the worst case scenario. And I'm going to leave the ball in your court. And hopefully if you need any of my help, you'll ask. And then guess what, friends? You got to let it lie. Okay. Because that's how your teens will learn to do things on their own, by feeling the consequences of their actions. And that's sometimes the hardest thing for us. It happens to me too. And I do this for a living. We had this conversation related to my daughter's senior year, whether or not she should take an honors level in her math class. She came to me with all the chatter of what the teacher had told her and what she was thinking from her friends. And I walked through best case, worst case. Choice is yours, my dear. Okay. And by doing that with this, it's going to help so much for your teens to then want to take the reins, okay? Pat Farrell, one of our admissions formula members, dropped this question over at our other group, which is Straight Admissions Talk, not super active right now, okay? And it sort of like goes inactive a bit after these master classes anyway. But she dropped a question and she said, okay, my son is a junior and it's time for us to do college visits. And he keeps telling me it's too soon, right? What am I supposed to do? How do I do this? What would I do? Let's go. That's where you need to start doing it. And it's not best case, worst case scenario, you pick, child. It's, I'm the adult in the room and I know how much it's going to help you. We're going to book this thing. We're going to move forward in this process. And then it's that what I just told you and walked you through before about everything you can do to get him to engage and help. And I will tell you that I believe that after your teen comes back from that visit that you're going to have him go on, it's going to be far better and he'll start to take the reins because it's a great way to motivate your student, okay? So you kind of have to decide, all right, and you have to be choosy. It can't always be that you're going to get your way and you need to do this, kid. But there's some things that, again, if you let go, then eventually your teen will trust that it's not all about power and control, Mom. Like, you're not just doing it because you're going to force them to do everything you want. They're going to have more choice in the matter. Sometimes it's best case, worst case scenario, figure it out. Other times it's, no, this is what we're going to do because I know it's good for you. And that's the balance that you need to figure out when you're thinking about helping your teens to take the reins in this process. What I'll tell you is, and if you're not on my email list, you didn't get this morning, but I'll tell you this. We often feel, because we're so used to seeing our teenagers not do some simple things for themselves, right? Like, where on earth are all the spoons in my house and why are they not always returned to the sink, right? If I gathered all the cups and like these little basic things that you want your teens to do, right? And so what we automatically assume is because they don't do those things, they're not going to do the bigger things. And if they don't do the bigger things, then they're going to be like screwed for life, right? They're not going to get into the college. They're not going to. So try not to think of it that way. Okay. They're still growing. They're still learning. There's a reason why this stuff feels hard. That's what I explained at the beginning. So you want to make sure if you're just watching this to go back and watch that again. Okay. But what I can assure you is sometimes they will want to take the reins the more that you give them the opportunity to have that agency. And sometimes you will need to take the reins, right? Because you're the one that really does need to be the decision maker. And I will tell you in closing that my masterclass, my Setting the Stage to Build the Perfect College List Masterclass for parents of 8th through 11th graders is the absolute best way for you to understand what that whole process looks like and what you can do to lay the foundation for really positive college talk to combat all the negative messaging that your teens hear outside of your home, so you can create the safest possible space for college talk. And that way it will light your teen up more, so that way they will want to do more with you or want to do more without you, but to help them to move forward in the process. So make sure you're grabbing your seat for that. It's the final opportunity for you to catch it live, okay? And grab your seat. Seats will fill up for this, and it is at 10 a.m. on Saturday. And no matter what, if you've watched this on replay, I hope that you've let me know that you're here, because I love to know that people are watching and checking it out. And the next opportunity for a Facebook Live is on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to go live and answer your teens' questions. Right now, I'm going to go over to the college list formula group, which you better be in if you're in the college list building stage. And I'm actually going to open up a question thread for parents that have watched this. Head over there. And if you've got any follow-up questions related to this topic, you're going to go ahead and drop them over there, and we'll do kind of a rapid fire Q&A. We'll see you for my masterclass, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.